I need my brown paper bag to keep the level of stress down, boys. How is it? This is FPL Mariner. This is Net That Haul. I think there's a few of you waiting for a rant. It's coming soon. But first of all, let's say hello to FPL Nima and FPL Lens. How are you doing, boys? I hope you're better than me.
I think we are better than you, actually. That's going to come
mentally out. Anyway. Yeah, mentally, I think we're a bit more stable. He's having a great season, so he's got nothing to worry about. But I, on the other hand, I'm doing much worse than you, but I still think the comeback is on. Double game weeks, chip strategy. That's what's always pulled me out year on year. And this is definitely the worst start I can remember, right? In the last 3 seasons, I've not been at this rank. And even Rockstar said it to me. He was like, "Oh, I've never, since I've known you, I've never seen you down there. I'm 700k floating along, and it's about 30. I think it's about 50 points from top 50k, but it's also about 44 points from top 2 million. And I'm like, which way is it going to go? Am I going to join the 7-digit club, or do I have a chance to come back and swim with the whales? So we'll see how the season goes, but it's less of a rant. I'm more optimistic now. We've cleared the way for your less balanced view on your season.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, Gabe, are you okay? First things first, you've moved house. I see you've got a nice picture behind you. I'm trying to find ways to zen myself out before I actually lose my shit in about 30 seconds.
Well, you can lose yourself up in those the fields of, I don't know, what is that, lavender, lilac? I don't know.
It's lavender.
Yeah, we have a lavender field near me.
So, I guess I'm. This is like visual therapy and aromatherapy with the lavender, and that's why I'm feeling. I'm on a big fat red arrow. I'm outside of the top 100k, and I don't know. I think the beach runs through my veins at this point, Mariner.
Well, I'm on the beach. I've got to be honest with you. I genuinely cannot fucking wait for this World Cup. I just need to get this shit off my desk and have 2 or 3 weeks watching England get battered. I'm not even bothered if England get battered, quite frankly, right now. I just want to be away from FPL. I'm just not doing anything with it. I literally looked at it yesterday. Never even checked my rank. I haven't even checked my rank, right? I think my wife's above me, by the way, in the Minileague as well.
You would welcome a new source of suffering, be it the English national team.
Oh, okay. It can't be as bad as FPL. It just can't be. Everything I called last week, every single troll I called out last week, they all scored or did something to me. Trossard, what did we do? We sold him. It was the right decision to sell him, let's face it. It was right. I don't care what anybody says, but I fucking well knew he was going to bloody score. Maddison, another one. I mean, Leicester's massively overperforming their XG, but he keeps scoring. And, every time I play him, and then, don't get me started, fucking Andreas, how many more fucking points do I leave on the bench? Oh, yeah, and James Justin. I think I've left him on the bench for a total of 24 points in the last 4 weeks.
I've got him twice, so I'm still way below you in rank. But see, you're suffering with the same players I own, but I'm starting them and you're benching them, and that's how wild it is. Like last week, everyone benched points. I saw benches with Bailey on them, with Zuma on them. This is the same bench, by the way, with Ward on it, with Justin. It's like 60 points on the bench.
So many bench points these days.
I thought there's someone, I think it was on Planet FPL, someone said that someone got sent a bench with 45 points on it.
See, he feels better already, Gabe.
Yeah, I do. That made me laugh. That did. But I mean, look. Let's be honest. We called a lot right last week. We called the Liverpool performance. Well, not the performance. The Liverpool result. Not so much the result. Even let me get my facts right. We didn't call the result. We called it was going to be tough.
Yeah.
We called it was going to be tough. We said that Forest are a different beast at home. They are. And now, there we go. There's next week's conundrum, boys. What do I do with Tony? Because he is shit away. In fact, Brentford are absolutely awful. And that's another problem. What to do with him? I'm really... I don't know anymore. I think we just look at the matchups for this week and then I don't know. Just move on till next week.
Get to the World Cup and take a break. That's what you need. I'm waiting for that. 3 more weeks, 3 decisions.
Anyway, here we go. As the let's put the thumb up, boys, because it is quite a good thumb, right? It's Gabe. Who is it?
This is our friend Miguel Almiron, and
I'm so happy to hear that.
as he is our thumb, why don't you give, if you're in the chat here, just take a little moment to give us a thumbs up as well, if you're sitting there in the chat, because this all credit to Nemo with this fantastic thumb.
There you go. I need to sign him to stop him from scoring.
The curse is real. Whatever you buy,
yes.
one
touch. More rant as well. Phil Foden.
Did he block Andreas Fee?
Well, no, actually, he didn't. He was further down. I had bloody Gay first bench because I for some reason I thought they might keep a clean sheet, but that's
I don't know why I went for Gaeta. Now I look back and I'm like, I could have had Pickford on Wildcard. It was my original plan. I panicked.
Well, he's shit as well. Although he finally at least I got something.
You've had it for a while though. My entry point was for the good fixtures. I don't know what you were thinking, mate. Like you got the player, cursed him. I'm coming for the revival, bringing.
No, I got him because I thought he was going to do what Raya did.
Yeah, but you got him before. I think it was Chelsea, City, or Liverpool away. One of the top.
Save point.
Exactly. No, but to get a player like that who's not kept a clean sheet all season yet, probably against like a top 4 attack. See, that's what I mean. It was mad scientist.
Everton had the most clean sheets in the league at the point when he brought him in.
Yeah, this is the other point you've got to think that you Wildcard, you changed your goalkeeper at Wildcard. I changed my goalkeeper at Wildcard. My Wildcard was Gameweek 8.
I'm just surprised there was no other keeper you wanted back then.
Well, there wasn't. They're all shit.
Exactly. There isn't.
I can't find a single decent. And the thing is, and this is the interesting thing, and Gabe said this yesterday to me on WhatsApp when we were chatting on the train, where it was the big differentials right now are goalkeepers.
Yeah, there was that week where they like 6 of them got double digit.
Anyway,
the template is so entrenched, right? It's like the template is so strong right now that the differentials week to week are goalkeepers. It was Raya
like a 4.5 mil defender or something.
and a 4 or 5 mil friggin' midfielder. Just because somebody else randomly didn't play, got benched or something like that. Like these are the differentials in the game right now, and that's why it's like when a differential is like a 4 or 5 mid that's coming in for people who don't have a full team because their teams aren't very good. You just throw your hands up and you wait for the next game week, I think.
And I think that's the problem. I'm trying to stop myself from forcing it because I know forcing it you'll go wrong.
Yep.
But the trouble is, I can't find anyone I want to bring in. I look at my team, I look at Tony, I look at Salah, and I'm like, I don't like these. I'll keep Salah this week, of course, but I don't like them. And yet, who am I going to bring in for them? I can't find anyone.
No, I've got my exit plan. I've got my exit plan. I don't want to give it to the masses.
Oh, I've got an exit plan as well now, actually.
For everyone, for Salah.
I've got plan A or plan B.
Salah's going out. Salah is going, just not against Forest.
Same again. I mean,
Leeds. Forest was the flop, but I didn't captain him at least, thankfully.
I agree.
That's the one thing that's kept me stable. Captain Haaland.
Should we crack on, boys? Gabe, we're nearly 10 minutes of ranting, which is good, actually, because I feel a lot better. But, Gabe, should we say a shout out for the haulers, and then we'll crack on?
Yeah, here's a quick thank you to all our haulers. Let's start with the super haulers. We got Harbor Boy, Daddy Bot, Greenback Golf, Sarah Gatsby, and FPL Robbie. Thank you to our super haulers. And then here we go with our haulers. Akshay, Tursex, Sea Hunt, FPL Penguin, FPL DG Boy 88, Lindsay O, Devindra Raj, FPL Casuals, Tom Gorsuch, Stuart Fletcher, Mr. Twister 242, Blonde, S. Scotters M, Firetog FPL Teacher, Oscar Arias, Donny FPL, FPL _ Mike Halpin, Sean Burke, Jack Daglish, Nehal Kulkarni, Kevin Rose, FPL _ Saffer, Podna FPL Craig, Dread FPL, Dom, who's in the chat, Claire FPL, Chris Irvine, and FPL, I thought Didn't I say this one already? FPL DGBoy88. I thought I said it, but
Was he there twice?
He's in there twice. He's in there twice.
Maybe he's rejoined. I think he did. Anyway, not to worry. I'll tell you what, lads, let's quickly look at the Minileague, but I want to do it very, very fast this week because I don't want to talk about ranks or anything like that. But I'll shout out David Hood, who's first with Toley. He scored 58 points there. Haaland captain, which was the same for all of the top 10. Surprise, surprise. 58 points for him. King of the Castle second, Richard Pitt. Misclick, Torgeir in third. Some really good scores. There's one. Look at that score down there in sixth. The Beasts from the East by Akshay Ekundi. 95 points.
Whoa.
I hate him. How's he managed that? I need to check his team. Could someone check his team, please?
Full of trolls. It's got a troll team.
It's Troll FC.
Troll FC.
FC Trollard. Yeah, bastards. But no, that's amazing. But yeah, just very quickly, and there's David's team on the screen as well. So he had Haaland, Kane, and Mitrovic. A interesting threesome up top, and possibly one that I might be on in the not too distant future. That's something I've been thinking about. And he had Andreas first on the bench. Look, so it's not just us.
We're in the live chat. They're saying that world number 15 kept the bench from the blank game week, and all of their bench players started, so they gained like 26 points. And because they missed the deadline properly. That's why sometimes it pays not to be overly engaged and like making decisions right up until the last minute deadline. I know for Gabe, because of the time zone, sometimes he has to make moves the night before and he'll like sleep through deadlines. So he's probably more accustomed to just like what people in my office do. They just make their transfer whatever day it is when it comes to their mind, they confirm it, and then they forget about FPL till the next week. And this season, they're all flying high, doing great. Some guys in top 10K.
15th in the world. He forgets to do his team. What the fuck? What's going on here? And I mean, bloody, I dare look. I dare even look where my rank is. Oh. I'm off. See you. You carry on the show yourself. I'm off back to bed. I can't be bothered. Gabe, cheer me up. No, don't cheer me. This isn't going to cheer me up either. I've got an horrible feeling. Philosophy.
This isn't the right one, but
yeah. Well, that's handy then. Go on, just talk about it. Tell us what your philosophy is.
I don't know where you got that. That's last week. So the new philosophy this week comes to us from Joseph Campbell, and I think you'll appreciate this one for Gameweek 14 Mariner, and he said that the psychotic drowns in the same waters in which the mystic swims with delight.
We need a tumbleweed moment there.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. So I'll read it again. It's the psychotic drowns in the same waters in which the mystic swims with delight. And we were talking earlier, right? We were talking about how you're feeling about this season and how you're feeling about recent game weeks. And
he's drowning.
You're drowning with a psychotic.
I'm going to read something. There we go.
You look like Papa Pig a little bit.
Cheeky bastard.
So you're drowning in these waters, and Nima's like in deeper waters. He's in a pile of shit that's much bigger than yours. Yet he's able to kind of like sit on top of that pile of shit and laugh at you drowning in your smaller pile of shit. And that's what this quote is all about, I think.
Yeah, I have nothing to say.
Okay. Onward to the matchups.
No, yeah, let's get to the matchups. But you know what's funny? So when I heard it, I had a completely different perception because obviously you relate these quotes to FPL, the philosophy of the week, but I always see like a life lesson to it as well. And I was just thinking it was a difference between like someone who has overindulged in recreational use of substances and is enjoying them versus someone who is ODing. So yeah. I was like, the difference between everyone, right? Everyone's bodies react differently to everything.
Yeah.
There we
I'm
go.
normally
Moderation is the message in
I've got to
case
be honest with you,
Mr.
boys.
YouTube is listening.
I mean, look, to be honest with you, I rant a lot when I'm on here, but a lot of the time I just laugh because
know.
I don't think there's any other way.
You only
just gotta
laugh every week to get it over it.
I literally was watching the matches on Sunday. Was it? I think it was Sunday. The 2 p.m. kickoffs, and in Asia you can watch all. You get all the games, so you basically keep jumping around. It's like a goal rush. So you get one game on, and then all the goals keep coming on from all the others. And I was thinking, oh, that's all right. I've got about 5 players here. I'm sure to get something. Half time there was 3-0, 3-0, 2-0. There's fucking nothing. So I turned it off and watched the cricket. I just turned it off. I couldn't be bothered anymore. Honestly, genuinely couldn't be bothered. Congratulations to India, by the way, on the cricket. That was one epic performance by Kohli. I'm sure we've got some Indians in here somewhere.
Happy belated Diwali as well. To
yes, and happy Diwali or Deepavali if you're in this part of the world as well. Matchups, Gabe. Where do we start?
All right.
Leicester against Manchester City.
Yeah, it started at the beginning of the game week. So Leicester against Manchester City. Interesting NetxG number for Leicester here at 1.75, which is significantly high. I think that's probably high because of Ederson, and we'll get to that in just a second. Man City with 2.11, understandably. I thought it was it's pretty astonishing here. Man City with a 1 in 8 chance of 4 or more goals. That's pretty huge. You don't see that very often. So you can definitely expect, I think, just multiple returns for several Man City players here. Your FDRs, Mariner, what are your FDRs telling us here?
Not quite so good. Not quite so good. City are very good, but Leicester are not so bad at home. So 1.9 for attack and 2 for defence. But what's this I hear about Haaland and Cancelo going off at half-time with fever?
No, they had the fever before. I won't let you spread rumors under my name as the source.
Yo, you told me it. I woke up in the middle of the night, and you're the first one you tell me is that Cancelo and Haaland went off at half-time with fever.
Yeah, like they probably shouldn't have played. They had a fever, but the fact that they played, as Gabe said, means that they're fine.
Yeah,
but it's nice to put doubt in people's minds early on in the episode, so that when we get to the captaincy metric, maybe they will consider going against
just
it.
when I thought it was all straightforward. Yeah, but no, I mean, look, it still looks very good for City. Doesn't need to look brilliant for City for Haaland to go off, does it? But it's very good, I think, again for Cancelo with a positive defence of 2. It does set up for a double return, actually, by the looks of something like that. And left and centre, left for City is much better than the right. 4.3 chances per 90 against 2.6 expected, and 4 down the middle. So yes, I mean it's pretty positive for City, but not as positive as perhaps you might have expected it to be, because Leicester have improved.
Yeah, and that is interesting that the models don't exactly align here. What I will say in regard to you mentioned the zonal matchups there, Mariner. Leicester, when you watch Leicester defend, and I have this here in the words section of the slide, when you watch Leicester defend, there's very little cohesion and chemistry. It's like they defend almost as isolated individuals. So the left half space, I think, could open up for KDB. It could open up for Cancelo. It could open up for even Bernardo Silva or Gundogan, maybe, depending on who plays. So those are the kind of players that I like in this game.
Well, I just hope Phil Foden actually starts. Did he start tonight?
Yeah. Subbed in the 81st minute, I think.
Well, he rested. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he came off. They conceded the game. I think they're all fine. They're all going to start. I don't think Phil Foden suddenly becomes a start 1 in 2 games kind of player. So
no, well, he might do, because I just bought him.
He wasn't before now, but yeah, I also just bought him.
For all you haulers and anybody else who just happens to be just dropping in to say hello to us tonight or this morning, wherever you are, I do apologise for breaking Phil Foden. It's all my fault. Okay, next one, Gabe.
All right.
Bournemouth, Tottenham.
I mean, what I thought was interesting about this one is how low the NetxG score is for Spurs. The shots model does still like them for, there's a decent chance, almost a 26% chance of 2 goals. But the raw number, so there's, I guess the Spurs are getting shots, like meaningful shots, but they're not, their creativity is down, and I think their XG is down, and they're just their style of play is, it's not an attacking style of play. And what I wrote here in the write up was, they stifle creativity because they're only set up to cross or run on the strong side channel. They don't switch the point of attack really efficiently. So what they do is that they get stuck on that one side. So they either penetrate through whichever side, it can be the left or the right, and they cross, or they penetrate and then they get to the end and then they don't know what to do. When what's happening is on the other side, there's so much space on the weak side, and Spurs is not hitting that space. So I don't know. I think that could change here against Bournemouth, though.
Nima, I saw Arsenal demolish Bournemouth earlier on in the season away. They look fabulous. I can't see Spurs doing the same to them, and the matchups don't follow it either. In fact, it's got them as a slight negative. Where are you with this game? And as a Doherty owner, I mean, the 2.4 fixture difficulty for defence looks hopeful, providing he starts. And Solanke's out as well, isn't he? Bad looks of things.
Yeah, I think Solanke might be out. But I think it's just the style of play. So, like, there was some stuff we looked at when I went on above average with Adam and Baker. We had a look at the zones of control. And on the map, it had like Arsenal and Tottenham against each other because it was before the North London derby. So it's probably the perfect example. And Arsenal was like weak, where they can see the possession in their own back left. And that was obviously where at the time Zinchenko would get further forward and play in midfield. But then they control pretty much most of the rest of the pitch. And then when you looked at Spurs, the side that Perisic was on was also quite weak because they kept going forward and it looked really good for us. But we on this Heat network like had the whole map. There was just like maybe 2 places in their box that we didn't have. And you could see that was just the style of play, as you say. But Spurs make a lot of big chances, but they don't get many of them, I think, is kind of what Gabe was saying. So I think that's the main factor for me. And I still think Kane's a great asset. I just personally wouldn't necessarily be captaining him because I'm not sure I see like the double digits that often, but it's a consistent return. So I do feel like I might be going that way and actually selling Salah. So that's kind of my plan. So I think there is big value from an FPL perspective in Tottenham, but like you got to temper your expectations. Like I know some people will have like Son and Kane and Perisic, and I wouldn't be going that deep even if there's just 2-3 weeks left. So I think you pick your poison. And if you had Doherty or Perisic, I would keep an eye on whether you think they're going to start. But this would be a prime fixture. Like I wouldn't be looking to sell them before this.
No, I do like the look of them for that particularly. I think Spurs have been quite badly affected by Kulusevski not being around, to be honest. I think he certainly brings a different dimension to them. Certainly from the eye when I do watch them, Gabe. Mm-hmm. I mean, just coming back to it, Gabe, I mean, Bournemouth's got a decent matchup down the middle. I'm not quite sure what that says about Spurs' defence, but or why that even is the case. But Spurs' flanks looks the best as well. So anything we want to just add on the zonals before we move off?
Well, I mean, just in regards to the flanks, if Spurs keep a clean sheet, there's a good chance for a potential like haul from a wing back. So and Doherty sounds like he probably will start this game. So he's kind of like an obvious shout here, and at the same time away at Bournemouth. I think that I forget who was saying on, I forget where I saw it, that this season has been like the largest home away split between the teams. I think teams have earned twice the points at home than they have away this season. So I wouldn't be surprised if Bournemouth can get a goal here. Maybe, Solanke has been moving well. And I think that, that improved movement, between him and Billing, somebody could get something. So I wouldn't be surprised if Bournemouth get a goal, but potentially a wing back.
There's my call.
Bellindio.
Solanke might not be back either.
Oh,
I don't know. I think he's
Am I not?
injured. I
Is
don't
he?
know.
Oh, now I'm really
Well,
hopeful.
he went
then.
off injured last game. Yeah, he went off
Because
injured.
if Solanke and Billing around, I really don't know what they've got. They ain't got much.
I just think that
Kiefer
Spurs will
Moore?
find a way to win.
Or no? Who do they have? Spurs will
What's
find
that?
a way to win. I agree with you, Nino.
Yes.
It would just
Yeah,
be
yeah.
made difficult for them. I don't think they're gonna go and like annihilate them. Potentially famous last words. I heard your last words last week, Mariner, about how Foden doesn't get benched and he's rotation proof. He said it live on air, and then a few days later,
all right.
Foden was benched.
Life,
You cursed my asset, man. I wildcarded, and
mate, I
got
curse
33%
everybody.
red.
I curse everybody's assets this year. It's brilliant. Next one, Brentford Wolves. Anything to say about this? Brentford are away at Wolves. Brentford away are shite.
Oh, Brentford are away. So I had this. Oops, I wrote this one backwards. But yeah, Brentford are away, and yeah, they're not good away. So for some reason, I thought they were home this week. I guess because they were away last week, I thought they were home this week. But you're right, they're not. Well, I mean, here's the good thing about Wolves, right?
No, they are away. They are. You've got this the wrong way. Are you sure? I've got Brentford at home against Wolves on this other one. You better check.
That's why
You carry on talking.
I think Brentford are home. That's why I wrote it. The Brentford first and Wolves second. I don't know why the thing says away.
I have no idea. Keep going.
Okay. So Brentford home against Wolves. What I like here, I like Wolves. I think Wolves had 0.67 xG last game week, and 0.3 of that was from one shot. So 0.37 xG from 9 shots is just like some of the lowest xG per shot that you can get. Like it's never that low. Usually, like the lowest you'll get is like 0.07, but 0.04 is so incredibly low that's good news for Raya, I think. Because if Wolves if they're gonna take 9 shots, maybe however if 6 are on target and they're all super low xG, there's some save points there for Raya. And then for Brentford, I think like Thomas Frank, he just tinkers too much when they go away. He tries too many different things. He moves players around, and he needs to realize that his best setup is the 4-3-3, starting Yohan Wissa on that left hand side, and that's the best for Tony as well. So as long as they line up in that way, and I expect them to start in that 4-3-3 this weekend, I think Tony could do well.
Yeah, and to be honest, the fixture difficulty it's okay. The matchup 1.1 positive and 0.7 for defense, but nothing amazing. And I'm not quite sure what that says in real terms. It probably tells me that I'm very close to selling Tony. I just think they are the quintessential Jekyll and Hyde team right now. They are literally they'll win 5-0 or they'll lose 4-0. There's no in between. I can't call them. And because I can't call them, I don't want to own anyone from them. That's pretty much where I am with them. So I think Tony will, out of my trio of Haaland, Mitrovic and Tony is easily the first one to go out of my forwards. And probably maybe as early as now. Don't think I'll get rid of him this week, bearing in mind it's Wolves, but I think I might give him one last hurrah. But realistically, I think he's dead man walking for my team for sure. He's going, and possibly to facilitate a move to Kane, like probably you're thinking about Nima as well, something similar. Not a lot of Wolves central 4.7 matchup. That cannot be the fact that Wolves are good, Gabe. That must be the fact that Brentford are bad, right?
Yeah, Brentford are conceding a lot of chances in between their back line and the defensive mids in the center area.
All right, should we keep going? And just if you see any questions, Nima, or any comments, just shout them out. Brighton, Chelsea. Let's have a look at that one.
Brighton, Chelsea, 0.94 for Brighton, 1.63 for Chelsea, according to NetxG. The FDR here, Mariner, is 1.3 positive for Brighton and negative 1.9 for Chelsea, which is interesting. So the two models here completely disagree on this one. I think, and then we have the shots model goal predictor is kind of it favors Brighton because of the number of shots that they take. Chelsea don't take that many shots. So like to kind of like explain the numbers on the left side here. I mentioned that Potter's been conservative, in his approach with Chelsea and trying different things with the personnel there. They have less than 1 XG non-penalty per 90 in their last 4. And I think he's going to continue that way, especially against his old team with De Zerbi. He's not going to fall into De Zerbi's trap and try to go get the ball, I don't think. So I think this is going to be a little bit cagey, at least to start. And then if this gets out of hand early, then I think it could really open up. But I don't know. I'm interested to hear why you think why it's so negative for Chelsea according to the FDR.
I think it's the fact that Brighton are just very, very good at home. I think that's basically where we are. They're just so much better at home than they are away. I'm not quite sure on where Chelsea are with respect to the numbers. I can quickly check, actually. So at home, all right, Brighton defensively are second best ranked. And attacking-wise, they are 8th best ranked. So that's that. And defensive, and Chelsea attack away are 10th for attack and 8th for defense. So about middle for Chelsea, but obviously that was when we're only a few weeks into Potter ball. But from my perspective, Brighton certainly look and obviously there's change of managers which have affected both teams. Well, the same manager's affected both teams, hasn't he? Yeah. So we'll have to see, really. But looking at the numbers, it suggests Brighton could make it difficult for Chelsea. And let's face it, Chelsea have already been battered away from home once this season at Leeds, right? So could it happen again? I wouldn't be out. I'm not. It's not out of the realms of possibilities in my view. Nima, what's your view on this? Positive fixture difficulty for Brighton and zones as well over Chelsea.
I'm a lover of a good narrative, and I just feel Brighton will be careful because if they batter Chelsea,
Cash it down.
He shouted at the dog.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. It's like when Oliver comes on the screen.
I was like, what?
He thought there was like a scream moment, like there was a masked killer behind him with a knife. You gave him panic there.
Yeah. Carry on, Nima. Where are we? Gabe,
I think if Brighton, if Brighton were to do something crazy against Chelsea, I think they're scared because they know that Todd Bowley will just come in and buy everything the club has. He's just going to come in, swoop in, not just take their manager, take everything else, strip it out. He sounds like he's already getting a big footballing structure in place. So it sounds like he's been ambitious and got hold of some pretty good people, including from Brighton. So I think we'll keep an eye on it. Neil Cheeseman makes a really good comment in the chat. He's a Chelsea supporter, and I guess this adds some context to kind of what maybe we're seeing here. So he says the team have become a somewhat hard watch. They get in good positions and then pass backwards. Yeah. But he says Kepa is a good punt, and I think I totally agree with that. He is a save machine.
He is a good punt. It's a shame that
Brighton take a lot of shots.
Yeah. Did you wildcard last week, Nima?
Yeah, into a 33% red arrow. I think most of the players are wildcarded outscored.
Did you go with Kepa?
I had him all week, and overnight, I don't know what I was thinking, because he had 3 away games, and because I'm biased and one of them was Arsenal, I thought, no, I'm not going to do this. He's got the Arsenal game and away games. I'll go without him. And I went for Gaeta. And God knows what I was thinking. It was definitely an ownership play. And in hindsight, Pickford was the guy I liked more for the fixtures. But
you take the piss out of me going
for Pickford. Mate, at least I didn't get double Crystal Palace defense. I know some people, I made them my goalkeeper in the scout tournament. Fuck me. Double Palace defense and Zaha.
Get on the wall of
us.
shame. Join me on the wall of FPL shame, Nima.
How are you guys doing in the tournament? I'm undefeated in 5 now, but I know you guys are up there in the top 5 battle with us.
Oh, this strikers, keepers, losers, weepers thing. I think we're in second, but I don't even know how it works.
I think we're in 5th or something. Yeah, joint 5th. But it's been tough. It's been tough.
I don't even bother. I just let everybody else get on with it. I let everybody else rant in a chat about it. I'm like, who gives a shit?
I still remember when Mark Southerns was benched because he's obviously your MVP in the Neto that Holland
MVP.
Team. Yeah.
Let me just think of something. I'll think of something for that.
Andy Mack is saying sack the manager. Our team is not. We're like you, Mariner. I run the team like you, but I actually make the decisions. So like,
I don't even run the team. Gabe does. I don't.
That's what I mean. Like, but you still run it as part of the captains of the ship, but. I just kind of like pick my team. My son sends screenshots in. We casually coast through this tournament. I know, Gabe, you're probably quite similar with your submissions, but some of these other teams, they have spreadsheets. Everyone submits forms. They track all the players that are shared across all 16 teams to make like optimal benching and striker decisions. We're just winging it, and we're at the top of the league. We're having a great time, aren't we, Gabe? Both teams are competing against the best of them with very little experience.
That's right.
Our MVP is bottom of the content creators league by a mile.
I think it's painful for him at the moment.
He's having a real nightmare. Perma bench. Okay, perma bench. Verdict first from me. Right. Anyway, Crystal Palace against Southampton. Enough said.
Yeah. So let's talk about Palace a little bit. I think
let's talk about Palace, Nima.
And again, the home away thing, it's probably going to be wrong across the board for some reason. I don't know why it's showing up like that. So Palace is home in this one, which does favor them. But the problem with Palace is when Vieira is trying to get too clever in terms of attacking. So he thinks that by just putting on more attacking players that the team becomes more attacking, and that's not necessarily true. And so Doucouré was unavailable last game, but instead of playing Schlupp, he plays Milivojevic, and that's just not good for anybody. That destroys all sense of creativity. He can't track the play, so they're terrible defensively. So I think Vieira needs to kind of like own up to a lot of Palace's woes recently. Actually, kind of similar to Thomas Frank. Patrick Vieira and Thomas Frank, I think, are making kind of similar mistakes, especially away from home. I will say that I like Eza in this matchup. He continues to link with Zaha and Edouard in the final third, and I think he could have some success against bad defenses at home. And Southampton is certainly that. They lost Kyle Walker-Peters to a hamstring injury, I believe. The thing about that is that changed Southampton to a 5-3-2, and that 5-3-2, I think they produced. I think there was only one chance, and it was other than the goal. There was one chance. No chance was more than 0.1 xG. So I think that and the fact that it's at home kind of bolsters Palace's defense in this one.
Yeah, I'm trying to work out why it's got Palace as a positive. So Palace a positive fixture difficulty 0.8 and defensive 0.1, 0.7. I think Southampton. I think the issue of Southampton is just the away form, right? Southampton at home are a different beast as well, from my experience. They certainly gave a decent account of themselves at the weekend, I thought. Certainly not battering as perhaps some people thought they might get. But away, Palace are a bit of an enigma this season as well. I can't work when they're going to get points either right now. Some of their fixture difficulty, particularly the raw numbers, are not good, right?
I have high faith in this fixture for my the defensive assets.
I mean, at the moment, I have no faith in Palace at all. So at the moment, he's still sat on the bench, but that might change.
Well, I'm not playing Ward, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, I've got Guay, so I done nothing for me so far. But I mean, zonals, it looks like Palace down the middle, possibly get something. 3.8 on the left, 3.4 right, 3.3. Nothing much for Southampton. Not a lot to talk about this one, I don't think, is there?
No.
No. Okay. Newcastle Villa. This is an interesting one. Newcastle are looking like they might be the real deal.
Yeah, so Newcastle. So Newcastle, they generate chances from the right hand side, and most of those chances early on in the season were made for the left hand side. What they're doing now with Miguel Almiron is they're generating chances for their own side. So the side is generating chances for the right side. I mean, Miguel Almiron is kind of like the is on the end of those chances in that right half space. And I think what's happening is Trippier is so pivotal to the creativity of this team that he attracts a lot of attention, and Trippier is opening up the half space for Almiron, and Almiron's finishing right now. He's just on fire, so he's really taking advantage of that. Villa, this is the interesting thing about Villa. So in this match, and in the previous match, they showed us traditional wingers. They moved Watkins to the right-hand side. He's right-footed. And they moved Bailey, the left-footer, to the left-hand side, and they kept them really wide. And this totally transformed Villa. Villa, all season, they've been playing not only with inverted wingers, but also inverted inside wingers. So they'd have Bailey on the right and Watkins on the left, and they'd be playing as inside wingers in the half space and then kind of like running into each other. And that's just like Steven Gerrard right there. That's all Steven Gerrard. That's basically one of the reasons he got fired. So with it's because he made players run into each other and didn't give them space. So I think this new setup really changes Villa. My eyes are open. I'm not sure exactly what to expect or if there will be growing pains or anything like that. They've, I think, just signed Unai Emery, so he's back. So we'll see. He definitely likes his wide players as well. We'll see if he's sorted maybe some communication issues.
I mean, Newcastle at home are very, very strong, and I think that matched up with what you're seeing with the goal predictors, Gabe, and also with the fixture difficulty. I think we align quite closely on this time. Looks like, Villa might have a hard day at the office away at Newcastle, new manager included. There's a question in the thing for Chris Irvine, Hauler. Are Newcastle playing Villa at the wrong time? I would argue that Newcastle at home can turn Villa over at any time. That's where I would come from with this right now.
Yeah, no, I see Newcastle as a top 6 contender for a Europa spot. Like they're looking to go for it. I think their quick rise has just been on rocket fuel. It's been coming quicker than anyone expected. People thought it might take a few years, and there hasn't even been that much of a squad overhaul, really, when you look at it. They've still got lots of players injured. They're yet to come back. You've got St. Maximan, you've got Isaac, you've got Bruno Guimaraes, and he just came back himself. Botman's been slowly brought in, as we were saying before. Eddie Howe's suddenly gone and done a really great job, and they're going to strengthen in January, just like they did with Guimaraes last year. So I think really there's 3 Premier League games left and 1 Cup game, and then they can strengthen, and their injured players will come back. So I think they're going to go through the season and they're going to be a serious team, and there's more than 3 good options. They're going to almost become like an Arsenal where you want 3 of them, but they're also quite affordable. So I think soon enough, especially after the break, we'll be talking about who the best 3 assets are. And I think for the short term, there's comments in the chat about Miguel Almiron. And I think about game week 8, we were all saying how great he was, but we were worried about his minutes because of, obviously at the time, it felt like St. Maximan and Isaac might come back. But they've obviously not come back. Isaac's out of the World Cup. So I think overall, he's 5.4 million now. A lot of those points are long gone, whether they were started or on benches. But if you've got a fire you want to put out a midfield slot available, I think that is the player you would be potentially going for at this point, especially with this fixture if we're saying it's so great. And, most people have Trippier, some people have double defense. So 1 clean sheet for me from Trippier isn't going to get anything. So it is an interesting thought. And I think I'd rather pay for Almiron than the extra for Guimaraes. So, after the World Cup, then we'll reassess which are the 3 Newcastle players we want. And they'll potentially have players that wouldn't have gone to the tournament. And that's exactly what we'll be looking for, especially for teams to go deep and their players don't play in Game Week 17.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, their fixtures say Newcastle, they've obviously got Villa, then they've got Southampton away and Chelsea at home. Chelsea at home's not even Yeah, that's still. I'm looking at the long range fixture difficulty here. I'm not showing you it, but still 1.5 positive for that Chelsea game. So that just shows how good potentially Newcastle are at home, if you ask me. I'm not sure I'm going to go that Almiron route, if I'm honest with you, Nima. I'm more interested in a Jared Bowen, who've got Palace in 15 at home and Leicester at home in 16, personally. If I'm looking for a punt towards the...
Yeah, that's who I wildcarded in on my 3-5-2.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at anyway. All right, Fulham Everton, another interesting game.
Yeah, I mean, Fulham Everton. It's a shame. You can tell Mitrovic still isn't entirely healthy. It's relatively equal, I think, on all the metrics. NetxG likes Fulham a little bit more. Again, Fulham is at home in this one, which favors them. But you look at the zonal matchups there, Mariner, and for Fulham, the positive zonal matchups are on the flanks, 3.7 on the left and 4.2 on the right. And for this reason, I think Fulham will go with whereas in the last match they were kind of bypassing the midfield a lot. I think they're going to go to these outside players. They're going to have maybe Willian on one side, and I wrote there maybe Kearney on the other side. I think Harry Wilson is a decent player. He has some good attributes, but he tends to pass kind of backwards a lot. His passes are not penetrating passes that much. So I think they'll play with playmakers on the outside and kind of like look to beat Everton on the flanks like that. And I mean, Mitrovic is who he is. He'll roam around everywhere. He's playing at home, and so he'll complete the triangles on the flanks and be a target in the box as well. So he's the obvious pick here. And then from Everton's side, I mean, Calvert-Lewin, he's back and he makes all the difference for Everton, and he's not an option yet, I don't think, but he's definitely.
I completely disagree with you. If I had the room now and the move, I would move right now because Fulham are awful at home defensively. Awful. Awful.
Calvert-Lewin has not been back long enough. Everton is not an attacking team. They don't. That's not their MO. They don't go out there to attack, right? They're not going to extend themselves to try to get more goals. And there are so many other options. Calvert-Lewin is still like 8 million. You're gonna get Calvert-Lewin over Jesus. You're gonna get Calvert-Lewin over. I mean, to me, the Calvert-Lewin pick doesn't make sense right now. I think it could make sense at some point this season, but right now it's way too soon to spend that kind of money.
I know what you're saying about it being too soon, but he's been eased back in. He's getting eased back in
for a long time. Yeah.
My view here is that I look at this Fulham fixture. I see a positive fixture difficulty for Everton. He's virtually very, very lowly owned. If you're looking for a bit of a beachy punt between now and the World Cup, I wouldn't rule him out at all, actually.
But I can get him next week when I sell Mitrovic if I don't get Kane.
Yeah, that's another option.
Mitrovic will have City and United, and I would like to take that punt. I think I remember telling Gabe about it.
I mean, if I had 2 free transfers and I had room, and I'm looking at, I'm looking at Tony. I'd probably not sell him this week, but I don't hate that move to Calvert-Lewin early, and then they've got Leicester at home and Bournemouth away.
How is Calvert-Lewin better than Tony?
Because he doesn't play for Brentford,
but he plays for Everton.
Because he doesn't play for Jekyll and Hyde. I can't stand this Jekyll and Hyde. I can't work them out.
That's a luxury sell. He wouldn't do it this week.
That's just a mental thing. Yeah, of course it is. Nothing to do with
Absolutely it is. Totally. No other excuse. I'm not saying I would do it. I won't do it. I will not take Tony out for Calvert-Lewin this week. But what I'm saying is that, I don't know if anyone got Solanke in their team and they need to, and they perhaps
those kind of
do something. I know it's a bit of a jump to try and get to him, and possibly Scamacca might be a better option. But
Scamacca's fixture isn't ideal. Jesus has Forest, but then it's
lovely
Chelsea.
Fixtures. Then he's got 2 lovely fixtures.
He does. But then again, you could wait till next week, unless you could probably bench Solanke, play Andreas. That's probably all the people have both.
That's a good point. Yes, because if people will have, I'm not quite sure. I don't know. That's a good chance, actually, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, look, I'm just go back to this Calvert-Lewin thing. I'm really not. I've always been very positive about Calvert-Lewin in the past, as you know. I've had some success with him in the past. I do like him. I think you're absolutely right, Gabe. He is absolutely vital for Everton.
And notice that the way he kind of separates the back line from the defensive mids, that's going to open more things up for Iwobi as well. I wouldn't be surprised if Iwobi kept returning. I mean, not like an 8 million player, but more than his price tag.
Yeah. DCL's pricing is horrendous. Yeah, it absolutely is. But pricing doesn't matter if you don't own Salah. And I think a lot of people are going away from Salah now. I think people looks like, he was probably going to go and get 4 goals against Leeds now. You watch it. But, it looks like he shot his bolt to me.
I might still sell him even if he gets to 4 goals.
Yeah, I might sell him as well. I'm exactly the same. I'm totally with you. I'm so low on Salah right now. It's ridiculous. Liverpool. Oh my God, Liverpool Leeds. Here we go. Let's have a laugh. Gabe, they're awful. Defensively, they are shit. Right.
I mean, defensively, they are in shambles. They haven't dealt with injuries well, but even their starters have had technical and tactical lapses, I'd say. From a data perspective, Liverpool 2.02 NetxG to 1.4 for Leeds. Quite a high chance of goals in terms of the shots model here. So, I get both teams. I don't know. I don't think Leeds will try to press Liverpool. I think because Liverpool have shown some frailties when pressed. I think the numbers flatter Leeds a little bit, to be perfectly honest, because Leeds are another kind of doctor, like a Jekyll and Hyde team. You never know. Even within a half, things could just suddenly change, and all of a sudden they just stop playing. So they're another team like that. One thing that's interesting about Liverpool that we saw against Forest, Salah and Firmino kind of interchanged between the number 9 and the right wing. But I don't know if Darwin Núñez will be back. If he is back, we have to see kind of how Liverpool line up. Who's going to line up on the left-hand side? If Darwin is back, then I would imagine Carvalho gets dropped. If Carvalho gets dropped, do Darwin and Salah play together? Maybe it's a 4-4-2. We haven't seen that yet, but that would make some sense. So it's just interesting to see how the presence of Darwin, the inclusion of Darwin, is going to change Salah's positioning, because right now he's wide, but the play is still going to that right half space. And unfortunately, it's Harvey Elliott in that right half space. And I don't know what's wrong with Klopp and why he doesn't kind of just engineer ways to get Salah in that half space. But he hasn't done it yet, or he hasn't been able to do it. So all these been like Salah wide or Salah in the middle of 3 center backs that are just towering over him.
I can't quite call this one, but Liverpool have conceded 17 big chances in the last 6 game weeks at home. Second only to Fulham, who have conceded 19. That tells you how bad Liverpool defensively they are right now, even at home. I genuinely think Leeds will score. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if they don't get 2. The thing is, I think Liverpool might get 6. Because I think Leeds are just, at the moment, are really bad. And it just takes an early goal and the floodgates can open. But I do think that the longer Leeds, if Leeds can hold them out, I wouldn't be. Stranger things have happened, right? But I actually think it's a probably pretty comfortable win for Liverpool. The fixture difficulty suggests it 4.3. That suggests 4 goals. When we see that, it suggests 4 goals. The issue is who's going to get them. But I can't see Liverpool keep a clean sheet. I genuinely can't get.
I think Núñez is back in training. I've seen some photos of him, but it's just him on his own. So we should keep assessing as the week goes on. But there's obviously the Champions League ties as well. So that will give us a good opportunity to see what's going on if he makes the bench at least. But I think overall, this in any other year would be like a prime captaincy fixture for Salah. I think the people who are the least likely to do it are the ones who captained him last week. I don't think there's any chance they're going to go that route. So I'm not going to do it either. But if word came out in the presser and Haaland did sound a bit more out of it than we thought, then I guess when we get to the captaincy metric, it'll be interesting to see how Salah ranks and if he's even top, because I'm not convinced that despite this fixture that he's the best option even from an underlying numbers point of view.
I'm not going to spoil it because I'm going to save it for a bit, but if you look at that fixture difficulty, right, that is the best fixture difficulty of the week.
And the right zonal.
The right zonal 4.1 is fairly high. It's in the top 10% as well. By the look.
Here's the latest on Haaland. Taken off because of fever, but also because of a problem in his foot. City doctors were concerned at halftime, so he will be assessed before Saturday.
So there we go. So maybe Haaland is not maybe that is the concern. We'll have to keep a very, very close eye on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's good to throw a real spanner in the works, couldn't it? Oh, maybe
just
it's what we need.
Yeah,
maybe
just what I need for the World Cup.
That's what the game needs to open up.
And then he blanks again anyway, and Almiron outscores him.
You watch. I'll sell him, and he'll go and score 5. Miraculous recovery and score 5.
You saw him captain him.
No, I mean, but this is a very, very interesting thing because let's see how that develops because that could really change the. It's
the early kickoff, right? There might even be team news that literally says Haaland.
Very good point. Early kickoff.
Traveled.
Might have to be watching very closely on Saturday. That's a good point.
Keep an eye out for Boona, guys.
Yes. Well, God. Anyway, just very briefly on if there's one bright spark in this entire shit show of an FPL season so far, it's watching Boona's tweets. I absolutely love it. But better still, now he posts everyone who abuses him. Fuck you! No, fuck you! I absolutely love it. It's brilliant. I hope. I really hope I'll see you at the November meet, Nima. I am possibly going through to Norway. I might be in for 24 hours.
Okay, yeah, no, that would be pretty good if you're in London.
If that's the case, I'll see you. Look, here we go, Nima. Arsenal against Forest. Now, I'm just going to set the scene here. I'm going to let you go first, Nima, being the Arsenal fan, and then I'm going to bring Gabe in with the matchups, and I'm going to finish off with a couple of stats. Go. What's happening with this one?
Oh, you want me to go first?
Yeah, I do. You're the Arsenal fan. Come on.
All right. Well, I've not even done the preview for the Arsenal Matchups podcast first.
You don't need to. Just go from a fan perspective and what you're seeing with Arsenal right now. I think it's always good to get your perspective of Arsenal.
Yeah, no, I think I definitely need to be asked again after Thursday as well. So that's always important to me. So whatever I say now might not be accurate if you're listening on Friday in podcast, for instance. So do tweet me if things have changed. But
caveat.
Yeah, I'll put that out there before someone goes in the next decisions off the back of what I say.
Early game,
I don't have the thick skin of Boona to get that hate mail. I'm not ready for that life. But yeah, no, I'm pretty confident of this game. Kind of Thursday aside, I do think that we're going to want to have a definitive home victory and get the ball kind of back in our court going into these final 3 Premier League fixtures. I think Xhaka gave an interview himself just before this last game, and he said their goal really, like as players, is they do want to be in that first place spot going into the World Cup. And I think mentally that's important for them. So if they can somehow get in, then it's all good. Last season, when we would lose in threes. So every time we lost a game after a nice run of games, we would then lose 3 in a row. This season, when we lost to United, we bounced back straight away. And Brentford were just absolutely like a whitewash. So it was just like a prep for the Spurs game. Then Liverpool and things started going really well again. I think... obviously, as it stands, you can't kind of win every game in this league, but that draw felt very much like 2 points dropped. So my perspective is they're going to be out for blood. And Jesus, he's not scored in a few games. A lot of people are talking about that now as well. I do think that bothers him. And when Arteta was asked about it, he said, look, this is a guy who, if he scores 2 goals, he's upset that he didn't score 4 because he could have scored them but didn't convert. And then he's saying, like, you know, obviously he's pissed. So I think he'll come good. And he's, I think, second for XG that he's meant to have had versus his actual outcome. in terms of like how bad off it's been. So he's ready to kind of, what's the word? He's due. So I think obviously, yeah, he is. And I think the 4 yellow cards, if you have him, you kind of just keep, and if he gets it, then you take him out, I reckon.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't see it. So I don't understand the idea of kind of, I've seen people selling him this week and stuff, and I'm like, it's a bit rash.
I wouldn't sell him.
Yeah, if you want to sell him against Chelsea, even if he doesn't get the ban, that's a perfectly fine choice. Bunko. But yeah,
anyway,
I think it's going to be a tough game. Yeah.
Anything you want to add before I get Gabe on? Because otherwise, it is going to turn into the Arsenal podcast.
No, just I think the Xhaka shout as well. So obviously, I've seen a few teams that went for him. He got 10 points last week. I would not be surprised if he did really well again this week, and he actually managed to kind of outscore Saka again. But overall, I'd say that I'm pretty confident. I have Gabriel. I'm looking for a set piece goal in this game. I'm honestly thinking to myself, like, this is it. Like, this is the game I get a Gabriel goal, hopefully. I got one earlier in the season, sold him in the blank. He's back in my team. I was upset that Ben White got the assist last week and I missed out for going for the more expensive option, but I got him for his shots. And
that's fatal.
Yeah. No, but I got him for how many times have we 5 points? But what, they're paying more to get the
how many times have we done that over the years? Ben White. I mean, Gabe, I'm going to bring you in now because I want to talk about Ben White, because Ben White's actually, if he could be on my shopping list, because I feel like I quite like the look of Arsenal defensively, and I just think he's just great value, and he's getting into good positions, and the ball, the crafted ball he played into Xhaka for the goal, it was a class. It was a very, very assured touch. Actually, I thought I was very impressed with him.
Well, the close to 42% chance of a clean sheet here for Arsenal according to the shots model, and then you add the right zonal matchup at 4.3 according to your FDR, and that points to more Ben White returns in this one. I really like him. I like that whole right side. So whereas last week, and this was one of the calls that we got right, I called it on the show and in the thread. Xhaka, I called Xhaka. I knew he'd get some sort of return, but this week I like Odegaard. I think that right side of Arsenal is going to be kind of the focal point. We saw what Liverpool did against Forest, and a lot of balls went to. We were talking about Harvey Elliott. That's going to be Martin Odegaard in this game. And I think Saka's going to stay wide, but I think Saka is more of an incisive player than Salah is. Salah needs space, whereas Saka can create his own space. So I think Saka, Ben White, and Odegaard and Gabriel Jesus are going to kind of triangulate mostly on the right and in that right half space, and the returns will probably come from there. But I see a comfortable win for Arsenal.
Yeah, same. And everything's pointing that way. Fixture difficulty is pointing that way as well. Second best, 3.9. Defensively, 2.8. That's the best by distance. Matchups all line up as well. What's not to like? Ben White, Saka, I love them both for this week. I'm really happy that I own them both. I own Martinelli as well. I don't own Ben White, sorry. I own Saka and Martinelli. So, yeah, I mean, would I own Ben White? Possibly. Maybe I've just let you know my move. It would mean I would use my one free transfer and then possibly I have to hit next week, but I don't care. I just think there's possibility of points here.
Yeah, there are points, but like Neiman was saying earlier, we have three. With 3 game weeks left,
is it high enough upside to make the move?
Not when next week all the big teams play each other. So I think what I've noticed in my scout team submissions from people in the team is everyone's pretty much rolling. Most people's decision this week is either roll or should I sell Zaha, even though he's got Southampton home, for like Saka. We got in the chat, Inaki, I do think switch Bowen to Saka or Firmino to Jesus. So I don't know, it's a tough one.
I don't think Bowen, I would go Bowen.
I would keep Bowen, I think, this week. But
yeah, I'm the same. Forest are looking a little bit different, Gabe. Awoniyi certainly looks now to be the one with the threat. We talked about in pre-season that he could take a while to settle down, but because he came out of the Bundesliga, probably might find it easier than some of these other players to break in and actually do something. I think that's coming to pass, actually.
Yeah, I think he's finding a role for himself in terms of on their counter attacks. When Forest counter, Awoniyi, his he bursts, his runs burst and kind of like push the defensive line backwards, giving the counter attack kind of more room to run. And then you have like Billing showing up in the spaces, sometimes from wide areas, sometimes from central areas. You have Tavernier and Christie on the flanks as well that are taking advantage of that kind of counter attack. And that's really, that space is being afforded by Taiwo. So I expect him to keep starting, and he might be an option at some point this season. Obviously, you're not going for a Forest player, with 3 game weeks left before a big break. But he is changing them a little bit, making them a little bit more dangerous. I still like the clean sheet for Arsenal.
I mean, I've just got this little bit of hope that they're maybe just starting to turn it a little bit, particularly at home. That Liverpool result was massive, absolutely enormous for Forest. Just enormous. And hopefully it should give them a bit of confidence to kick on, but it will not start this week against Arsenal.
No, I think they've been gelling as a team. When you buy so many new players that haven't played together, you do need them to kind of work together to find their role. So it's kind of interesting how you were saying about Awani, like finding his role. I had him in a draft league at the beginning, and he kept coming off the bench, getting subbed early. And I think you were right. Just through that experience of trying to monitor him for my draft league, it felt like there wasn't quite a role for him, and maybe this is it in the counter attack. Yep. So that's quite interesting. But yeah, let's go to. Is that the last matchup?
No, there's one more. I was just going to say there's just Bungle's note said that Forest set piece defending horribly suspect. So I like Gabby return. Now, but the only thing is, headed matchups don't really look that good.
They're 2.2, yeah.
No headed matchup there, which I was thinking, there will be, but there isn't. So that's interesting. Very last one, Manchester United, West Ham. Manchester United looking significantly better now. Interesting to see what they do against West Ham at Old Trafford. That'll be an interesting one. Gabe?
Yeah, so United kind of like, they went for speed against Chelsea, looking to bypass the midfield and get the ball quickly to Antony and Rashford. And I think they're going to do the opposite against West Ham, because West Ham, they play in a just very traditional, somewhat static formation, and you have to you kind of like penetrate that formation through the kind of play build up. So I expect them to build up play through the midfield. I think Bruno Fernandes is going to be heavily involved again. Look to kind of unlock that back line with Bruno Fernandes getting in between Rice and Souček and West Ham's back line. The metrics here, they slightly favor NetX. It's interesting because NetxG favors West Ham, because West Ham have been taking a boatload of shots recently. They've had so many opportunities. But what's interesting is that the shots model favors United a little bit, and I think United have had maybe higher XG, and their finishing has also actually expected not higher XGOT, expected Game of Thrones there. Because their finishing, United's finishing has been, we saw Casemiro's header, low XG, but that went in. Antony has had some good finishes as well. And that's kind of like, I think, propping up the shots model for United.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at the fixture difficulty, Manchester United, slightly positive attack, slightly positive defence, 0.9, 0.6. Obviously, Villa the opposite. West Ham the opposite. West Ham's fixture difficulty on the zonals on the left is 4, which isn't bad. So that might does it be Ben Rama? Will it? Is it going to be Ben Rama? I'm not quite sure. I've not really watched much of West Ham this season, but Manchester United 3.7, 3.6 left and centre. But look at West Ham's headed matchup, 3.1. There's an interesting one.
They rely a lot on set pieces. Cresswell's on the bonuses because of that as well. And then that left zonal matchup in large part because Diogo Dalot, he pushes forward quite a bit for United. He's often on the edge of the box there. So that space is left open.
Yeah. I mean, as long as the cat kicker doesn't get anything, he can't score. He's not allowed.
We won't bring him in.
No, I wouldn't. Even if it was Even if he was scoring shitloads of points, I wouldn't bring him in on principle. Asshole. Right, okay. Right. What else are we going to look at? Should we have a look at the fixture difficulty just in the longer range, just for a very, very quick? We're only going to the World Cup, so this is just where we are. And I just wanted to just make a couple of points here. I spoke about Bowen earlier on. West Ham's got two very nice fixtures matchups in 15 and 16, 1.7 and then 2. 1.7 against Palace and 2 against Leicester. That's why I like a West Ham asset. Now, the issue is which one? Bowen or Scamacca? Because is Scamacca now I know there's a lot of discussion. I brought Scamacca up a few weeks ago, didn't I? About, he's either one. He's cheaper than Bowen. He probably replaces Tony quite nicely, thank you very much, without having to tear the fixture up. Is there a world that Salah scores 4 goals, you keep Salah and you move to Scamacca instead? Possibly.
Yeah.
He's an option from Mitrovic for me. It's whether I then instead do Salah down to someone and get Kane. So I think that's kind of one more week of assessing, and that's why I like the idea of having 2 free transfers next week as well.
No, I agree. And the other reason this is the one thing I think about Liverpool, and this is why, as much as, like I say, Salah is absolutely destroying me right now, I just look at game week 16 and then I see Liverpool's matchup against Southampton with a positive 3.5 as well. So, you're going to sell him and then you're going to go, uh-oh, he's playing Southampton at home. That is brave. It's brave to offload Salah, but I think it might be the right move.
I think at his ownership, you don't have to be brave, because even if he punishes us,
there's upside again. And I mean, if you're looking at it, and let's say that Haaland is out, right? Look at those 2 Manchester City games: home against Fulham, home against Brentford. 5 points. What's that? 5.6 and 4.5. I think his expected points against Fulham, I think he's 11. Last I looked, I'm sure it's 11 points. These are obviously tons of things to think about going forwards, but yeah, that's there for anybody. If people want to come to it, it's 1 hour 12 on the thing if they want to come and actually have a look at the graphic, and I think it's worthwhile. And of course, we're only going up to game week 16 because we are not going to go beyond the World Cup, because there's no point. There's too many variables, right?
Yeah.
Right. Next, then, what do we got? 19. So okay. So I think we're at the captaincy metric actually. So should we have a quick look at the captaincy?
Let's do it.
Seems to have stopped. I don't know what's going on here. There we go. The captaincy metric, and it's gone for Saka. And that is a very interesting thing. I looked at this, and I've been looking at this now for about 4 or 5 days. I set it up. I set the captaincy metric up before the weekend's games, and then plug in the weekend's games and see how it changes. And I was thinking, if Saka gets if Saka blanks and Haaland gets a double return, will it make any difference? Haaland still didn't top him. And I think this is quite telling, and this explains to you, I think, why this is such a good matchup. Haaland's fixture difficulty is not as good, significantly lower, and Haaland is still right up there. So let's be honest, if that was a better matchup for City, Haaland would be top. That said, Saka, minutes-wise, okay. Haul, 98, virtually top. Returns, 92. Points, 86 in the last 6 game weeks. And this game week, fixture difficulty, better than Haaland, 95. But then anytime returns and expected, just down a little bit now. Is that because he was flagged before and they were just a little bit worried about expected minutes there? But the zonal matchup's better, and he just edges Haaland. Arsenal 3.9 fixture difficulty, fifth best for big chances, third for shots on target behind Spurs and City, with 40 in the last 6. They've only conceded 5 big chances, so we might get a clean sheet point as well. I quite like him. I think if Haaland is out, I think he might be my man, Gabe.
So like not go for Salah, yeah, that's an option for me. I have Saka already, but
yeah,
it feels wild that it's even a consideration. With
it
Salah
is, but I mean, if you look
lead.
at this, let's keep going down. Haaland second, obviously plethora of 100s, but the fixture difficulty isn't quite there. KDB third, Cancelo fourth, Foden fifth. So it's basically it's only really Saka who has jumped up. Then, interesting enough, then Salah. But look at Salah's hauls. Nowhere. That's what's marking Salah down. He hasn't had a single haul in the last 6. So that says it all, right? His returns are low. But again, for some, we said it last week. We say it again this week. The predictors love him. The predictors love Salah. But that's the only thing that loves Salah right now. Martinelli and then Jesus. And interesting enough, again, like you mentioned, Nima, perhaps Jesus is actually due a haul. So that might be the sort of like the left field sort of pick.
Yeah, no, I think
is Jesus.
This would be the week for triple attack, if any, from Arsenal.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to go down like the Liverpool game. That was away from home. That was at Forest. I think this should be very different.
Yeah, and 2 very different teams doing very different things. Liverpool isn't dominating with the ball. They're not doing different things, plan A, plan B, like successfully the way Arsenal are. But I think we have to rename it the vice captaincy metric, Mariner, because we got Nick Khan going that Saka will be his vice captain in case Haaland can't go, and Steve Bungle, Saka on vice captain.
I think that's where I will be as well. Then again, we might get news that Haaland's out. If we get the news that Haaland's out, then we'll have to have a think about this as to what to do and how long is he going to be out for. That's the next question. But no, as it stands, Saka is a very, very good captaincy shout for this week, and we made a point of saying that in the earlier matchups as well, Gabe, didn't we? Everything's lining up for him, actually.
Yeah.
Everything's
like Cancelo captain shout by Harry Dawson.
Cancelo, well, you mentioned that Ederson is maybe the weak link there, is he?
That's the problem. Yeah, Ederson's form is not good right now.
So maybe I wouldn't.
I wouldn't. Makes it risky.
Nima, where are you on this? Do you think if you were to go for a captaincy from an Arsenal perspective, would you go Saka or would you go Jesus? I don't think you'd go Martinelli.
It's a weird one because last week, if I was picking, it would have been Martinelli to attack that zonal, but it didn't quite work out for him anyway. But this week, the zonal was obviously going for Saka. I think personally, as rogue as it is, there's still a part of me that would always wait to see these midweek games. So seeing like Salah get arrested a bit, play less minutes, Saka play 90, that would lean me more towards Salah as my captain still. But I don't have the scars like many of captaining him yet. So it will be like a first-time rodeo. So I'm not as kind of wedded to my ideas of not going for him just because of him trolling me in the past. I also think that they're both midfielders, which really helps. Because if Salah wasn't a midfielder, then I would definitely go for Saka. But they both have penalties. It just depends, I guess, how much you weigh up fixtures and form. Because Saka has everything, right? There's no reason I'd say to go for Salah captaincy apart from price. You're just like, I've paid this much, I have to captain him. And I wonder if that's what I'm being trapped into here in my mindset and my ways.
Yeah, I mean, I've not put the Spurs players up. There's a question about the Spurs players. I mean, Kane's metric would be 65 and Son would be 58. So just to let you know, the fixture difficulty doesn't like them. It's mainly fixture difficulty. Interesting enough, players like Darwin Núñez would be much, much higher up if it wasn't for the fact that he's been out. So if you think Núñez is nailed, is maybe a better shout as well.
What about Firmino?
Pardon?
Firmino?
Firmino, I don't have him on it. I should really have put him in, but I can't. It's just I can't work out whether he's going to start or not. This is the old big problem with them. So I've not done an awful lot with Liverpool, if I'm honest with you, mate. I've just left Salah in.
Mm-hmm.
Salah and Nunez. Yeah, so that's the metric anyway. As you say, it shakes things up. It possibly shakes things up with the Haaland move, and maybe it's just what we need, boys, because I don't like to see people injured, but it'll make the game a lot more interesting if all of a sudden we've got to think about captaincy again.
Yeah. Well, shake things up, blow things up a little bit, make people go in different directions, so things aren't so predictable.
Yeah. All right, Nima, have we got any questions in the Discord? We need to cover?
So we've got 2-3 questions to take from there, and then we've started some from the live chat from tonight that will also quick fire. But first one is from Don Black Dragon. He asks for good Arsenal replacements for Cancelo for Gameweek 14, 15, and 16. City play Leicester away, not sure of clean sheet there. So I don't know if I'd be saying Cancelo this week. I keep an eye on him as well. Obviously, he was also subbed at halftime with Haaland, so he apparently had a fever. I don't think he has a foot injury. So keep an eye on that as well. But I think Ben White at 4.5 just feels like too much good value. So I think you could kind of just go there and save it. But if you're not going to do anything with that money, I would probably just go for Gabriel because it is for 3 weeks. And I like his set piece threat. And I think against Forest, even though the kind of headed matchups weren't maybe ideal, I think generally Forest will struggle to defend these set pieces. So I'm backing him for a goal personally for what it's worth. So if you can afford it, I'd go for him for these last 3 weeks. But I would kind of question what you're going to do with the money from selling Cancelo in the first place. So if you have a plan, then great. But yeah, like if it's not going anywhere, then I just keep Cancelo, to be honest with you. And then if one of you guys wants to take from Devindra Raj, so the next question was around 2 free transfers, enough cash to go Zaha and Zuma to Saka and White. Or would you suggest some different picks? Man United pricks. Oh no, it says picks. I was just thinking of grey picks. But anyone who knows, I will show the video at the end. But yeah, that prick grey, as they say. But
I've no problem with I've no problem with putting some Arsenal players in.
But at the cost of, I guess, Zaha at Southampton. Yeah, I guess it's a good fixture, but if you really want to attack this Forest fixture, then yeah, you could probably go that way. And
you're getting rid of the cat kicker, so as soon as we'll take a hit, doesn't matter. Get rid of the cat kicker.
He does have 2 good fixtures the next 2 weeks, so but we'll see. So, and then the final one was around Calvert-Lewin, who we discussed earlier in the show. So I would say check the timestamp for that matchup, and you'll see our thoughts around him. But to be fair, he's already transferred him in because Solanke was out, so he just wants to hear what we think. He's already made the move, so definitely go check out the timestamp for that matchup. Cool. So do you want to just take a few from the live show, and then we'll get out of here?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Just seeing what there was. So Ozzy Sharks, good day, lads from Australia. Love your work as always. Looking at Almiron in, Trossard out, or Wilson in, Mitrovic out, or just roll. I'll be honest, I would just roll, but that's me. I just think having 2 next week is vital with the big teams all playing each other.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Almiron, it just feels a little bit like maybe a bit after the Lord Mayor's show for me. I think I could, if it wasn't for the fact that we've got the World Cup coming up, I'd be a lot more interested. But I just feel it. Maybe there's other moves which we could look at. Wilson and Mitrovic again, similar. I think it's short more for me. Home Villa, away Southampton, home Chelsea. It's not terrible. I personally think if I was taking Mitrovic out, I wouldn't take him out against Leeds. Who are they playing? Everton. I wouldn't take him out against Everton for a start.
I'm going to take him on next week. Yeah, I think I want him this week. Having 2 transfers would be great. So if Gabe wants to take this one from Chris Irvine, so is Kane an all-season hold? Obviously, we said how consistent he is. He's only blanked twice.
Get the one with the Spurs bias on.
No, I'm sure you're not surprised to hear me say he's not. The reason I don't think he's an all-season hold is because I don't know that you're going to want to go through the whole season with 2 premiums in the forward line. there may be midfielders that come, that maybe Son's in form, or Salah comes into form, or one of the medium priced Chelsea boys or something like that. So I just think a lot can happen, and have it holding Kane means you have Holland and Kane. Those are probably your two premiums, and so you have it's a little bit unbalanced. I don't think you
Well,
do
I've
that.
seen some freemium teams, and they're able to field the likes of Andreas and Neko or Justin and get points week in, week out.
That's
Even
been
if
working out.
yeah, that's been working out for them. I don't know if it's a long-term fix.
I don't. If we get news that Haaland's out long term, I don't. I'm not at all objectionable about Kane for the next 3 games till the World Cup.
No, he'll be fine. He doesn't even have a World Cup, so he'll just play some football and haul some more, I'm sure.
They've got 2 very good matchups. 1.7. It's a very positive matchup, even against Liverpool.
Yeah, no,
1.7 and then 2 against Leicester. Leeds, sorry.
So, Nehal's question for you, Chris: is Tony, Saka, or Jesus captain shouts if Haaland is out? So I think the captaincy metric timestamp obviously addresses that. So I would say go there, but it leads with Saka. So is it worth adding a player like Almiron? So this is from Nick Khan. Would you add Almiron this week with the uncertainty around Villa and their new manager's tactics?
I'm not sure whether I see it as a bit too late, but that's I can't work Villa out, and I think it's too early to say, right? And I think, is that the thing? But Newcastle at home are a good side, and they've got 2 home games in the next 3. So I'm not I don't hate it.
Okay, this one from Bungle: playing Ben White or Van Dijk is my selection dilemma this game week. So I think for me personally, it's definitely play Ben White.
Yes,
with that right zonal as well.
I agree.
Yeah.
I can see Leeds scoring more than I can see Forest scoring. Famous last words. So Inaki, we addressed this slightly earlier, but switching Bowen to Saka or Firmino to Jesus or roll. I always condone rolling. I do like Bowen's fixtures next week onwards. Saka would be great, as we've seen from the captaincy metric, but I'm not sure if you have another way to get there rather than through Bowen. I don't know. But if not, then...
I see a world there that you just sell Firmino, he hauls, and then you get Jesus.
And he gets a yellow card in his band.
He gets a yellow card.
I'd say to Iñaki, I would say roll.
I think so. Like, you got to accept that you might not get the points from the Arsenal player you want this week, but it should set you up well with 2 moves the following week to attack it and make ground back and maybe make more ground, I think. But it's a very patient style of play. If there's only 3 weeks left and you want to be a bit more aggressive and have fun, I think out of these, it's a tough sell, but I think it would be Firmino to Jesus for me, especially if Nunes looks like he is back. So last one from Harry Dawson, billing up to Foden or Bowen to Foden. If I keep Bowen, I would bench over Mitro. So I like this idea of billing up to Foden and then just benching Bowen this week against Liverpool. So that's a nice one there. And then just check the live chat. Obviously, those are the ones we started, but I think there's a few more questions that have come in right at the end. If Haaland and Cancelo is out this week, are we still set on saving the transfer? If not, best combo replacements for these 2. Mm-hmm. So if Haaland and Cancelo were both out, obviously the World Cup's right around the corner. We could use those funds to go all out. I still wouldn't sell Haaland just because of the price rise that's happening. It's so high. I think that money will be important for me for my chip strategy later in the season when I wildcard and bench boost and kind of free hit into the blank around it. I like to combine all those chips together. So team budget then will be important to me. But Cancelo, I would consider selling on the other hand. So I think you could downgrade Cancelo quite considerably.
Who too?
Well, I already said earlier, right? Like Gabriel or Ben White. And those are a considerable downgrade in your finances. But if you can bench them next week, if you have an asset next week that has a good fixture, you could play them and you could bench your Arsenal asset against Chelsea away. So I really like that move because that money would be freed up. It's quite a lot of money, over 2 million. And if that allows you to upgrade a dead spot, like for my case, I've got a dead first striker, 4.3 million. I could go up to like a Skamaka and get him for the last 2 game weeks when West Ham have the great fixtures. So it's all about what you're going to do with the money. But again, like I'd have to be sure Cancelo's out to even consider that. Haaland, I don't think I'd sell regardless, like either way. Then again, if you want to attack, you could. But so who are the replacements then? So I've said why I wouldn't do it. But if you sold them both, who would you get now?
Yeah, I was going to say it's a very tough one. I mean, I just want to ask how much money have we got in Haaland? If we had to re-sign him, how much more would we have to pay?
I think Yanzi is saying if Haaland and Cancelo are out this week, if they're injured or ill or something like that, are we still rolling the transfer? And if not, like, is he really suggesting like we replace them because they're out 1 week? I don't think anybody's doing that.
No, I mean, look, if we look at it in the longer term, I mean, if he's out 1 week, no one will. But if it's out if it's looking like they're out for 3 weeks, for sake of argument, up to the World Cup, and
even 2 weeks, do I want to hold someone for one fixture?
I'm not selling Holland if he's out for 2 weeks.
That's what I was saying. I wouldn't.
The way I would look at it is that I'll tell you, I'd look at it slightly differently. If Haaland's out for a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, I've got unlimited transfers in the World Cup. I only need to find 0.4 million. I can find 0.4 million.
But it depends how much of your team you do it to. So if you then do it with Cancelo as well, and at some point you do it with Martinelli, before you know you're going to be a million.
Before you know it, you've really whacked your value, I know. But if you're only doing one,
you got to do just the one. That's what I did. Like before my wildcard, I sold the players that I wouldn't mind paying to get back.
Yeah.
No,
that's why I'm thinking I'm not ruling out selling Haaland if he's injured. Because I think, I've got unlimited transfers. All I need to do is take, I don't know, I've got players like Justin and Gay and people like that. I can take them down to a bit cheaper and I can just move a little bit of other funds around. Am I likely to can I save a little bit on Tony, perhaps down someone as well? Yes, possibly. I think I can find that money to get him back fairly easily, but don't take him out for 1 game week.
No, I don't think so. All right, so I think that's all the questions, and then thanks from Inaki as well. Free Arsenal is tempting, but both sells seem wrong. So I think that's the thing. Andy Martin said this last year, and I think I agree with him, where you can't get the haul each week. So whatever your strategy you've gone down is, that there's going to be a week where you will get a red arrow, but you've mitigated for it. And in the weeks where your strategy will have an advantage over those who went this route, that's when you need to pop. So I think I wouldn't look at it too badly. I don't think it can hurt you too much. Hopefully it goes through unscathed. But overall, just the fact that they then play Chelsea next, I'm not convinced this is a great move, because Bowen has 1 bad fixture, then 2 good. Similar for Saka, the replacement. So not for me, but honestly, if there's another way you can get there, though, that could be interesting. Just maybe not through those assets.
I think Bowen has got 2 home games. They've got 2 home games coming up, 15 and 16. Palace and Leicester. I like them both. Both the matchups are very, very good. Could I see a world where I go in with double West Ham attack for those last 2? Absolutely.
Scamacca's still an option, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, all right then. So, shout out to FPL Teacher as well, who's tuned in. But other than that, been a great show. Good to see you guys. Just 2 more shows to go, right, before the World Cup. So,
thank God.
Yeah, we'll take a nice little break. After doing 20 episodes in preseason every year, I think that by the time Gameweek 1 comes around, it feels like half the season's gone. So, an interesting break we're going to have. But I will enjoy the World Cup, and I'm sure that we'll do something.
Well, I have got a little bit of content possibly for the World Cup, so we'll just have to decide whether we do a show per match per round or per match day or whatever it is, because I am working on some data for sort of a captaincy and a fixture difficulty, but it's very difficult because of the fact that geographically it's difficult to get data out of a lot of teams, whereas Europe it's easy, because you just look in the Nations League, for example. But yeah, it's more difficult, but I'm hopeful we can get something. So if we've got the will, I think we can find the way to do a little bit of World Cup content. Let us know, guys, if you want some.
Let us know. We'll get a mini league going as well, and we can all compete and have some fun in the off season. But let's say bye to everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Do obviously get in touch if you have any feedback, anything you'd like to see as well during the World Cup, as Mariner says, or just generally going forwards. If you've got any ideas of guests you'd like us to bring on, let us know. We can see who we can collaborate with in the community too. If you found the episode helpful, obviously, please smash that like button. It really helps us out. I think it's probably the only time we've even asked for a like, about an hour and 35 minutes in. So hook it up. If you're still here this far in, you've been a big support. Good luck. Green arrows to everyone in Game Week 14. And we will see you next time, right?
See you later, guys.
Good luck, everyone. Bye.
Have a good week. Bye.